The sun beat down on the Florida coast, its warmth a familiar comfort to Alex Ramirez. Below the shimmering surface, the ocean was his sanctuary, a vast, silent library of forgotten histories. A freelance diver and former naval historian, Alex spent his days exploring wrecks, his worn hands expertly guiding the metal detector over the sandy seabed. Today, however, felt different. The detector, usually a quiet hum, suddenly shrieked, a frantic cry that pulled him towards a barely visible anomaly beneath a coral overhang. He finned closer, the current nudging him gently. Clearing away years of accumulated sediment, his breath hitched. It wasn't a rusted cannonball or a broken pottery shard. It was a chalice, glimmering with an impossible ancient gold. Solid, ornate, and impossibly old, its surface was covered in intricate, stylized etchings that seemed to ripple in the refracted sunlight. A surge of adrenaline, cold and exhilarating, shot through him. This wasn't just a discovery. It was the discovery. He carefully extracted it, the weight of it surprisingly substantial in his gloved hands. Back on his small, well-loved boat, the Sea Witch, Alex laid the chalice on a faded canvas tarp. Its gold seemed to absorb the sunlight, radiating a soft, otherworldly glow. The etchings, now visible in the harsh glare, were unlike anything he'd ever seen, not quite Mayan, not strictly European. He knew instinctively that this was something truly significant, something that transcended a simple treasure hunt. He also knew it needed to be kept secret, at least for now. He secured the chalice in a waterproof case, his mind buzzing with the implications. As dusk settled, painting the sky in fiery hues, Alex felt an unsettling prickle on the back of his neck. He glanced towards the shore, scanning the empty beach, but saw nothing. Still, the feeling persisted, a subtle chill in the warm evening air. As he docked his boat and made his way home, a dark sedan, its windows tinted, slowly pulled away from a quiet street corner, its headlights momentarily flashing across his rearview mirror. Enjoying the start of this adventure? Subscribe to the channel to not miss the next chapters and dive with us into this mystery. The local newspaper, the Coastal Gazette, picked up the story faster than Alex could have imagined. Local diver finds golden chalice, historic treasure or hoax, the sensationalized headline screamed. Alex cursed, throwing the paper onto his worn kitchen table. He'd only mentioned it to a loose-lipped acquaintance at the marina, and now the whole town, and presumably beyond, knew. His phone, usually quiet, began to ring incessantly, a mix of curious friends, persistent reporters, and suspiciously polite inquiries from numbers he didn't recognize. He tried to downplay it, calling it an interesting find, but nothing more. But the genie was out of the bottle. The subtle inquiries soon turned into veiled suggestions. A sleek, black car, with government plates parked down the street from his modest home. Men in dark suits, introduced as cultural preservation officers, showed up at his door, politely but firmly asking about the chalice, mentioning vague international treaties and historical significance. Alex felt the walls closing in, the comfortable anonymity of his life dissolving. He knew he needed an expert, someone he could trust. His mind immediately went to Dr. Evelyn Reed, his former history professor and a renowned archaeologist, now retired but still fiercely dedicated to authentic historical preservation. He drove to her secluded cottage, the chalice secured tightly in a custom-built padded case in his trunk. He laid it gently on her antique desk, and her eyes, sharp and intelligent despite her age, widened. She gently traced the intricate patterns. As they talked, Alex glanced out the window. Across the street, a woman with striking, fiery red hair, dressed in an impeccably tailored suit, was seated at an outdoor cafe table, sipping coffee, her gaze fixed directly on his car. Serena Vance. Evelyn, meanwhile, leaned closer to the chalice, her brow furrowed. "Alex," she murmured, "this symbol, I've seen it before, but not like this." Evelyn's study, filled with books and artifacts, became their temporary war room. She and Alex meticulously examined the chalice under specialized lights, its golden surface revealing deeper layers of intricate detail. Evelyn confirmed its authenticity and its incredible age, estimating it to be from the early 16th century, placing it firmly in the era of early Spanish exploration. The symbols, she explained, were a unique blend of indigenous Mesoamerican motifs and a hitherto unknown form of early European iconography. "This isn't just a chalice, Alex," she declared, her voice hushed with awe. "It's a Rosetta Stone of a lost encounter." The pressure from outside intensified. Calls from government agencies became more insistent, escalating from polite inquiries to thinly veiled demands for cooperation. Alex felt like a pawn in a game he didn't understand. One evening, returning home, he found his back door jimmied open. The house was a mess, drawers pulled out, cushions tossed aside, but nothing was taken. They were looking for the chalice, but Alex had had the foresight to keep it with Evelyn. The incident, however, left him shaken. The next day, as he walked to his local diner for a quick bite, two burly men, their faces expressionless, cornered him in an alley. "Stay out of what doesn't concern you, diver," one snarled, his grip on Alex's arm tightening. "That gold belongs to others." Alex, surprised by the direct threat, struggled free and quickly made his escape, his heart pounding. The men didn't pursue him far, simply watched him go. He knew then that this was no longer about a discovery, it was about survival. He immediately called Evelyn, his voice tight with urgency. "They're getting aggressive," he told her. Evelyn, meanwhile, was hunched over the chalice, a magnifying glass pressed to its surface. "Alex," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "the inscriptions, they point to a specific location, but it's a riddle within a riddle." The riddle on the chalice was a complex puzzle, a mix of archaic Spanish, obscure indigenous dialects, and astronomical alignments. Evelyn, with her vast historical knowledge, made some headway, but it was slow and arduous. "We need a specialist," she finally conceded, pushing her spectacles up her nose. "Someone who understands these forgotten languages, someone with a knack for the esoteric." Her thoughts turned to Leo Maxwell, a reclusive but brilliant ex-collector of rare artifacts, known for his uncanny ability to decipher ancient texts and his equally uncanny talent for avoiding human interaction. Alex was skeptical. "An ex-collector? He sounds like a problem." But Evelyn insisted, "Leo is an eccentric, but he's ethical, and he's the best." Their journey to Leo's isolated mansion in upstate New York was fraught with tension. Alex, driving Evelyn's battered SUV, constantly checked his rearview mirror. The dark sedan from Florida seemed to have multiplied, appearing intermittently on highways and in small towns. They changed cars twice, used winding back roads, and even resorted to an overnight train to shake off their pursuers. The air inside the car was thick with unspoken fear and suspicion. Evelyn, however, remained outwardly calm, her focus on the task ahead. As they neared Leo's estate, hidden deep within a forested valley, the tension climaxed. A sleek black SUV, undoubtedly belonging to Serena Vance's network, swerved in front of them, forcing them to brake hard. Another vehicle blocked their rear. Alex instinctively floored the accelerator, swerving off the road and narrowly avoiding a collision. A brief, chaotic chase ensued through the trees, ending with Alex driving through a dense thicket and emerging onto a private road that led to Leo's fortified gates. They barely made it, their car scarred but intact. Inside the high-walled compound, Leo, a gaunt man with piercing blue eyes, listened to their story with an expressionless face. He initially refused, citing his retirement from that messy business. But Evelyn, with a quiet intensity, appealed to his intellectual curiosity, laying the chalice before him. Leo's eyes, fixed on the golden artifact, finally softened. "This is no mere treasure," he mused, his fingers tracing the symbols. This is a key to a much larger enigma. Will Alex and his allies decipher the mystery in time? To not miss any details, subscribe now to the channel and be part of this adventure. Leo Maxwell's study, a labyrinth of dusty books, ancient maps, and esoteric instruments, became their new sanctuary. The air was thick with the scent of aged paper and ink. Here, far from the prying eyes of governments and the brutal tactics of Serena Vance, the trio set to work. Evelyn and Leo, a fascinating blend of traditional scholarship and unorthodox intuition, poured over the chalice, their minds a blur of concentrated energy. Alex, though less adept at the scholarly side, proved invaluable in managing logistics, procuring supplies, and maintaining their vigilance. He paced the perimeter, his senses heightened, every rustle of leaves, every distant hum of a car, setting his nerves on edge. As they delved deeper into the chalice's inscriptions, layers of meaning began to unfold. It wasn't just a map. It was a narrative, a fragmented account of an expedition far more complex than any recorded history. The treasure wasn't gold, it was a series of locations, each holding a piece of a larger puzzle. The chalice was a guide, a silent witness to a forgotten journey. One evening, as Leo was meticulously cross-referencing a symbol with an obscure Aztec codex, they heard a faint creak from the floorboards above. Alex, quick as a flash, grabbed a heavy brass poker. They froze, listening. A shadow flickered past the doorway. It was a well-executed attempt at infiltration, almost certainly by one of Serena's agents. Alex's quick thinking and their secure location, however, thwarted the immediate threat. They found a small, sophisticated listening device cleverly hidden in a ventilation shaft, a chilling reminder of how close their enemies were. Despite the constant threat, their progress was undeniable. Finally, after days of intense work, Leo leaned back, a triumphant glint in his eyes. "The first part of the code," he declared, tapping a specific section of the chalice, "it's a set of geographical coordinates, and they lead us to a forgotten mission in the Arizona desert." The Arizona desert stretched out before them, an endless canvas of red rock and parched earth under a relentless sun. The coordinates led them to a remote, abandoned Spanish mission, its adobe walls crumbling into dust. The silence here was profound, broken only by the whisper of the wind. As they explored the ruins, Evelyn's excitement grew. "This isn't just any mission, Alex," she murmured, her voice filled with awe. "This was a frontier outpost, officially unrecorded." Hidden within a collapsed section of the mission's chapel, they found more than just archaeological fragments. They discovered a small, lead-lined box containing weathered parchments and a strange, crystalline object. The documents hinted at a secret pact, a covert operation launched by a shadowy faction of the Spanish crown centuries ago, designed to secure not just land, but a powerful, undisclosed resource. The true nature of the chalice began to emerge. It wasn't just a guide to a treasure, it was a testament to a forgotten truth, a conspiracy that had shaped historical narratives for centuries. Evelyn became convinced that the official history of the region was a carefully constructed facade, designed to conceal this covert operation and its ultimate goal. As they studied the documents, a plume of dust appeared on the horizon. Multiple vehicles, unmistakably government SUVs, were rapidly approaching. They had been tracked. "They know," Alex breathed, his hand going to the chalice. "They're not just interested in the chalice, they're interested in what it reveals." A tense standoff ensued, a game of cat and mouse through the ancient sun-baked ruins. They scrambled, hiding behind crumbling walls, their hearts pounding as the agents systematically searched the area. They narrowly evaded capture, slipping away into the vast, unforgiving desert as night fell, the new documents clutched tightly in Evelyn's hands. Their escape was harrowing, but they had gained a crucial piece of the puzzle. The Chalice, combined with these documents, pointed to a much larger, more unsettling truth, a history deliberately buried, a secret so profound it had been guarded for centuries. With the new documents in hand, the trio knew their next move. The parchments indicated that a crucial missing piece of the puzzle, a specific charter related to the covert Spanish operation, was housed in the National Archives in Washington, D.C., deliberately misfiled. The thought of infiltrating such a secure facility was daunting, but Evelyn, fueled by intellectual curiosity and a strong sense of justice, was determined. Leo, though grumbling about unnecessary exposure, recognized the vital importance of the document. Alex, now fully committed to uncovering the truth, felt a surge of grim resolve. The journey to DC was a masterclass in evasion. They used false identities, switched transportation modes frequently, and employed all of Leo's knowledge of counter-surveillance. The city, usually a symbol of order, felt like a sprawling, watchful entity. Navigating the labyrinthine halls of the National Archives without attracting undue attention was a delicate dance. Evelyn, using her academic credentials, managed to gain access to the restricted historical record section. While she meticulously searched, Alex and Leo kept watch, their senses on high alert. The tension was palpable. Finally, Evelyn found it. A brittle, yellowed parchment, bound with a faded ribbon, tucked away in a mislabeled box. It was a royal decree, signed by a little-known Spanish monarch, outlining the true objective of the expedition. Not just the acquisition of gold, but the establishment of a hidden network to exploit a previously unknown, powerful mineral resource, critical for an advanced form of metallurgy. The mineral's existence had been systematically suppressed for centuries. As they exited the archives, the crisp DC air suddenly felt menacing. Serena Vance, anticipating their move, had set a trap. Her vehicles, seemingly out of nowhere, converged on them. A brutal, chaotic street fight erupted. Punches flew, the document clutched tightly in Evelyn's hands. Alex fought with a desperation born of self-preservation, protecting the others. In the melee, a masked figure snatched a small, ornate compass from Leo's pocket, an item he'd identified as being integral to the Chalice's full functionality. They escaped, battered but alive, the critical decree secured, but the loss of the compass was a bitter blow. The document, now in their possession, laid bare the scale of the conspiracy. A web of powerful families and institutions had silently controlled this hidden resource, and with it a hidden thread of global power for centuries. The Chalice wasn't just a map, it was a damning piece of evidence. With each chapter, the plot deepens. Don't miss the next steps of Alex and his allies. Subscribe now and follow this saga of mystery and adventure. Hunkered down in a nondescript motel on the outskirts of Baltimore, the trio spread the ancient royal decree across the bed. The implications of their discovery were staggering. The document, combined with the Chalice's clues, didn't just expose a forgotten mineral, it implicated several powerful, seemingly legitimate multinational corporations whose current vast wealth could be traced directly back to the hidden resource outlined in the decree. For centuries, they had exploited this secret, shaping geopolitical landscapes and technological advancements from the shadows. The Chalice wasn't just a key to a buried past. It was a detonator for a present-day scandal of unimaginable proportions. The weight of this truth pressed down on them. They were no longer just treasure hunters. They were whistleblowers on a global scale. The pursuit of Serena Vance and the government agencies intensified, becoming more sophisticated and relentless. Drones buzzed overhead, their digital eyes scanning for their movements. Intercepted communications revealed the extent of the resources being deployed against them. Alex, Evelyn, and Leo knew they couldn't just keep running. They needed a plan, a way to expose this truth to the world without being silenced. Then the coordinated attack came. It happened at dawn, a calculated assault on their motel. Serena's paramilitary-trained operatives, working in chilling tandem with a specialized government task force, breached their defenses. The motel room exploded into chaos. Gunshots ripped through the walls. Alex, shielding the Chalice, fought with primal ferocity. Evelyn, despite her age, moved with surprising agility, and Leo, while not a fighter, used his quick wit to create distractions. But they were outmatched. In the ensuing pandemonium, Alex was forced to make a desperate choice. With bullets whizzing past, he shoved the Chalice and the decree into Evelyn's hands. "Go, take it! I'll create a diversion!" he yelled, pushing her and Leo out a back window. He then drew fire, leading the pursuers away into the dense urban landscape of the city, hoping to buy them enough time. The separation was agonizing, a moment of profound despair as he wondered if he would ever see them, or the Chalice, again. Running through back alleys and busy streets, Alex was isolated, the weight of the chase heavy on his shoulders. He eventually found refuge in a deserted warehouse district. Exhausted, he slumped against a grimy wall. His hand instinctively went into his pocket. His fingers brushed against something small, smooth and metallic. It was the ornate compass, somehow still in his possession, having likely fallen from Leo's pocket during the struggle. Examining it in the dim light, Alex noticed a tiny, almost invisible indentation on its side, a subtle clue that had been overlooked. Alex, alone but clutching the crucial compass, knew he had to find Evelyn and Leo. The tiny indentation on the compass wasn't just a detail, it was a key. It was a micro-engraving, a final clue left by the Chalice's original creators, indicating a frequency, a very specific radio signal embedded within the Chalice itself, meant to be activated only when all other puzzles were solved. It was a last resort broadcast mechanism. After a tense few days, using prearranged emergency protocols Leo had set up, they regrouped in a safe house miles away. Evelyn and Leo, relieved but grim, listened as Alex explained his discovery. Their strategy crystallized. They would activate the Chalice's signal, broadcasting the compiled evidence, the royal decree, their research, and a digital copy of the Chalice's narrative, to the world. They would bypass the compromised official channels and go directly to the global public. They chose a major international news organization with a reputation for integrity, leveraging Leo's few remaining trustworthy contacts in the media. The plan was audacious, risky, and their one shot. The climax arrived in a chaotic, high-stakes standoff at a decommissioned satellite dish array in rural Pennsylvania. As Evelyn and Leo connected the Chalice to a makeshift transmitter, Serena Vance and her heavily armed team, along with a contingent of furious government agents, descended upon them. The air crackled with tension. Serena, her face contorted with rage, demanded the Chalice. "That's my inheritance, Ramirez. You have no idea what you're meddling with," she shrieked. A brutal firefight erupted, a desperate struggle for control of the Chalice and the truth it held. Alex, channeling his naval training, used the environment to his advantage, leading Serena's men on a dangerous chase through the array, buying precious minutes for Evelyn and Leo. He faced Serena directly, a hand-to-hand struggle culminating in a desperate chase across gantries high above the ground. He had to make a choice, save himself or ensure the signal went out. With a final, agonizing effort, he disabled the last of Serena's attempts to cut the transmission. The signal went live, beaming their meticulously compiled evidence across the globe. The world erupted. News channels, scientific journals, and historical forums buzzed with the unprecedented revelation. The broadcast from the Chalice, corroborated by the leaked royal decree and Evelyn's meticulously presented research, exposed the hidden network that had secretly controlled a vast, powerful mineral resource for centuries. Governments scrambled, corporations issued frantic denials, but the evidence was undeniable. The official history of Spanish exploration, and indeed parts of global industrial development, had to be rewritten. The impact was seismic, triggering investigations, public outcry, and a profound re-evaluation of long-held historical narratives. For Alex, Evelyn, and Leo, life would never be the same. Alex, once a quiet diver, was hailed as a hero, though he preferred to fade back into anonymity, finding solace in the ocean's depths once more, this time with a deeper understanding of its hidden stories. Evelyn, invigorated by the exposure of such a monumental truth, returned to academia, her groundbreaking work redefining her field. Leo, despite his initial reluctance, found a renewed purpose, dedicating himself to ensuring the transparency of historical records. The Chalice, now officially recognized as an artifact of unparalleled historical significance, was placed in a specially designed exhibit at the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History, its secrets open to the world. It stood as a silent, golden testament to truth and the courage of those who sought it. Serena Vance, though her immediate plans were thwarted, vanished into the shadows, a whispered threat of future retribution hanging in the air. Her network, though wounded, was vast, hinting at future conflicts, but for now the primary battle was won. Alex, visiting the Chalice in its new home, felt a profound sense of closure. He looked at Evelyn and Leo, standing beside him, not just colleagues, but now true friends forged in the crucible of shared danger. The Chalice of Coronado, once a mere object of curiosity, had become a symbol, a reminder that sometimes the greatest treasures are not made of gold, but of the truths they reveal and the journey of personal growth they inspire. And so ends the saga of the Chalice of Coronado. If you were thrilled, excited, and unraveled this mystery with us, subscribe to the channel for more epic and realistic stories. Your support is our greatest reward.